Yes, people. It's Monday night. It's just after 10. It's grounded football. It's Liverpool grounded football. Welcome to the show. I've got some good guests to go through a few bits and pieces today. So, Dave, welcome back, mate. How are you?
Good guests. Great guests. How are you? Yeah, I'm absolutely great. Just looking forward to a bit of chat about the Reds after that 2-0 win at the weekend. And everything's rosy in the Anfield Garden.
Doug, how's you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad at all, mate. Buoyed by the red start to the season, which we'll get into a little bit. I'm really looking forward to the big battle of the weekend, the Lukaku versus Van Dijk battle, mate, which we'll all be like this, won't we, on Saturday, waiting for that to happen. How are you, Ralph? You good?
Yeah, really good, mate. Yeah, what a great result of the weekend, and like you, looking forward to Saturday. Is it Saturday or Sunday? I can't even remember, but
Saturday, halfway.
Saturday.
I'm really looking forward to it because I think there's good things lie ahead.
Absolutely, yeah. So it'll be really interesting to get stuck into that. So Dave, I'll start with you. Obviously, 6 points from 2 games since we last spoke. I've spoken to these two gentlemen since. We've touched on both of the games in some detail. So where we're at the season, mate, your thoughts? Are you pleased? What's been particularly pleasing? Any concerns?
No concerns. Everything's fallen into place. It's only 2 games. It's early. But, I mean, it's all you can ask for. 2 wins, 5 goals, 2 clean sheets. 1 or 2 players standing out that weren't really there last year. The likes of Tsimikas and young Elliott, of course. Unbelievable. Great. Brilliant games he had the weekend. They're bonuses for us. I mean, there was always a question mark over if Robertson got fit. What would we do? And Tsimikas, at the moment, I know it's early, but seems to be answering all the questions thrown at him. He got a great assist for Jota's first goal. What a ball in as well. And young Elliott, what can I say about Harvey Elliott? What a player he is, that guy. He's unbelievable. I mean, like, exciting teenager ET. But, I mean, this guy is going to be a baller. This guy is going to be possibly world class. It's early. He's 18. He's a long way to go. But if he just keeps going on the trajectory that he's on, I don't think anybody stops this guy. He's that good. There's been loads of bonuses. Matip, I mean, he just keeps the gifts just keep coming from Matip. The gifts, as in gift, GIF. But I mean, he's been brilliant. Him and Van Dijk partnership is the one for me. But it's great having Gomez and Kanate at the back just in case, isn't it? But it's been brilliant. I mean, no complaints, no injuries except for Robbo, and he's back. Huge game the weekend. I mean, it couldn't have gone better for us, guys. We look hungry and we look ready to rock.
So whilst I've got you, Robbo and Tsimikas, personally speaking, I think Robbo doesn't start against Chelsea. Are you of that opinion, or do you bring him in?
Well, I mean, it's hard to drop him, isn't it? I mean, like, what does he have to do? What does he have to do to stay on the pitch? I think there's a possibility Tsimikas plays. I mean, why change a back 4 now coming into a big game against Chelsea? You know, he's done nothing wrong. He's actually got better. He was better against Burnley than he was against Norwich, defensively and going forward. He's attacking at the right time. He's defending at the right time. I think he gets it. I think he gets the thing, and he just needs to play games. It's lovely having Robertson there as backup, isn't it? Even saying that sounds weird, but you know what I mean. I mean, there's a chance Robertson could play. Depends on what happens midweek in training and what Klopp thinks about it. But the good thing about it is, guys, we're not worried. It's not a worry anymore. Do you know what I mean? Put Tsimikas in against Chelsea. Oh, we're in trouble. I wouldn't play him there. I wouldn't be too worried about him playing there or not. And as you said, Steve, I think there's a good chance he plays.
Because Dougie hasn't done much wrong, has he? I know he got a smack around the chops off Milner for dwelling on the ball against Norwich, and that could have been costly. But, you know, what makes me laugh is every time he plays, you see comments on Twitter like, he looks like he hasn't slept for a week. He looks like this, he looks like that. He absolutely he's like a modern day Stefan Oncho. So, you know, what's been pleasing about him for you, Doug? What have you seen that, you know, we didn't see it last year, did we at all?
He kind of reminds me a little bit of Robbo in like the fight. Like there was one incident in that Burnley game where he was actually fouled, but he refused to actually be fouled and got straight back up and then just played it straight to, I think it was Van Dijk. Like that got a big, huge round of applause. So you can actually see he's already a fan's favourite, Tsimikas. I actually think he's been very, very good, and I agree with Dave. I don't see any question not to start him against Chelsea. You know, I think I think Tsimikas has done really, really well, and I think he has really, really impressed. And hopefully this is his breakout season as well, because obviously last season was a bit injury hit for him, but he's done well. He's kept his kept on the ground, as people say, and I think he'll be absolutely fine. I can definitely see him starting against Chelsea on Saturday.
Yeah, Rach, what about you? Do you think Robbo's got a right to be a bit disappointed if he doesn't get back in, or do you think he's been in the squad long enough to know it's a meritocracy?
Yeah, look, it's something that's characterised Klopp's management for a while. Like when we had Gomez and Matip vying for that, the centre back spot, it was always the guy in possession is the guy who retained possession unless there's a reason to swap. And whether they drop their form drops off or they get injured or whatever the case may be. Gomez came in our title-winning season after Matip. I think Matip. I can't remember if Matip started the season, but anyway, Matip was there for a period of time, and then I think he got injured. And then even when Matip was back fit, Gomez played out the rest of the season. I think that's to some extent that's how it should be. It should be a meritocracy, and Tsimikas has done really well. Look, he hasn't proved he can get anywhere near the ultimate levels that Robbo has, and it's only been 2 games. So I can understand when it's a game of such gravity against Chelsea that Klopp might revert to tried and trusted. But either way, I think Tsimikas has done really well, and if he retains his place, good on him, and it shows that Klopp has trust in him. And look, we want them to be pushing each other to become the best 2 left backs in the league, and yeah, they both. Well, Tsimikas has certainly hasn't done his job any harm.
No, Doug, midfield wise, obviously, we all had a heartfelt moment for Fabinho losing, one of his parents, which is a tragedy. I've been there, lost my dad, so I can sort of relate to that a little bit. Is it too soon to bring him back in? If he says he's fit, he wants to play. Where's his mind at? What do we do with the midfield? Because I think for me, that's where the game's won and lost. It's about stopping service to Lukaku, not about stopping Lukaku. So in terms of the midfield, Doug, you're gonna be picking the team. Give me your midfield.
Oh, I think he might bring Fabinho back in. I could probably see the midfield probably being Fabinho, Keita, Henderson for me. I think that'll probably be the midfield 3. As much as Elliott did really well against Burnley, I think you're going to need more experience against Chelsea. You're just going to need that little bit more stability in the midfield. So I think it will be Fab, Keita, Henderson, maybe in my midfield.
Fab, Keita, and Henderson. Dave, do you go with Keita in the game against Chelsea? Do you think what he was doing, the probing and the asking questions, I know you're a bit of a Keita fan. We've waited a long time for this, haven't we?
Naby lad, Naby! No, I love Naby lad. But I mean, listen, of course I'm a big Naby lad fan. He's been okay in the 2 games. Nothing spectacular. But as I say, he needs to run the games. It's no use taking him out. He's done nothing wrong as well. He needs to play. He just needs to play. And I want him to play, and he will play. He will play. I was talking to Klopp today. He told me he'd play. So Naby's in. Naby's definitely in. The big question for me is Fabinho. I'd love to see him against Chelsea. I think Klopp will leave it up to him. I mean, it's up to him whether with his dad passed away, whether he wants to play or not. I have a feeling he will play. It's been nearly 10 days. So I think Fabinho will be back in with Naby lad. The question is the third player. Who is that going to be? Is it time for Hendo to step up? We need a strong midfield. As you say, it's going to be won and lost probably in the midfield. At Anfield, the packed at Anfield with the half-wave kickoffs, a great kickoff time. I can see Hendo, Keita and Fab. I know it's a fairly blocky midfield. There's no real attackers in there, but I don't think he starts Harvey Elliott against Chelsea. I really don't. I can see him maybe come on. But that'd be the type of midfield I'd play. And I mean, I haven't even mentioned Thiago. I haven't even mentioned Thiago.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we have got options, boys, and this is really good. I mean, last season we could have probably picked the team straight off the top of our heads without even second thoughts. Now there's second thoughts coming in, which means we're doing something right. You know what I mean? We can't even pick an 11 because the squad is fairly tight. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that because they want players in, but at the moment, the way the squad is, I think it's a nice group.
Absolutely. Harvey Elliott, tremendous game at the weekend. what that boy sees is a bit different. When he picks up a ball and looks up, he's seeing things other players don't. So for me, that's really exciting. Are you with Dave that this game's too big for him and he probably needs to come out and not play in this one?
I mean, look, my instinct tells me that providing obviously Fabinho's situation, that should be up to him, and I'm sure Klopp will leave it up to him. But knowing the character of the man, I'd be surprised if he didn't play. But we're all different. So yeah, I expect Fab, Hendo, and Naby to start, but that's not taking anything away from the lad.
Elliot.
Yeah, Elliot, because he was really, really good. It's the first time I've really watched him closely. I've seen a few highlights when he was at Blackburn and stuff like that, but you don't really get a sense of how ready a player is for the Premier League until you see him playing in the Premier League. And he just took to it like a duck out of water. I mean, he looked like he'd been playing there for years, and it's a bit of a cliche, but when you can adapt so quickly to the Premier League and you kind of look like you've played there for years, that's not an easy thing for a young player to do. And he was just calm, composed. His decision making was really good. And in terms of a player for the future of Liverpool, it's really, really exciting. I mean, we couldn't have hoped for anything more.
Yeah, I'm going to add on to that. He was the most fouled player at the weekend.
Yeah.
Five or six fouls, and to be fair, he did get a lot of rough treatment from the Burnley players. I mean, jeez. I mean, I think we'll obviously go into that, but like honestly, some of their tackling was a lot to be desired. It was shocking at times.
I like a bit of feistiness. I'm an 80s boy. I like a bit of it. Some of it was over the top. But the last time, if tackles go out of football, I'm not watching it. Simple as that. So for me, there was 2 or 3 really poor tackles. Bit of wrestling going on, to be fair. WrestleMania 4, whatever you want to call it. And that one where Cork ran into the back of Jota in the middle of the box.
Oh,
it was like a missile. Like a missile. He's just standing there, bang at the back. I don't know what was going on there. There was 1 or 2 other things, dragging out players and stuff. I like that type of thing. It was like a nice 5-a-side on a Friday night. But there was a... Sorry?
You said it's like wrestling. It's like you got speared by Roman Reigns in the middle of the just a quick one, and I'll come to you on it, Dave, and it is a Harvey Elliott question again. So the goal that was disallowed was exciting teenager. Was the goal that was disallowed was really good. We cut barely open on that one. We're not going to get the opportunity to play perhaps against the side that is as open as that was, because there was a number of times we kind of got in behind them. You don't expect to get that from Chelsea. Does that kind of lend itself to going back to doing what we do best, which is first of all being resilient and hard to beat, and then making sure that the front men are buzzing and we get some movement?
Well, I mean, Chelsea are European champions. They've started well. They have a great squad. We all know about the squad and the money that they have and how plastic they are. But the thing about it is, for me, look, it won't be as open. I think it's going to be a tight game, this game. No one will want to lose it. The international break's around the corner. Both of 2-2. I think whoever wins this game will be probably saying, City have lost and United have drawn and things like that. This would be, whoever wins this is going to win the league after 3 games. Don't think so. So whoever loses it is not going to not win the league. You know what I mean? So, but it's an important psychological game, and I think it's going to be tight in the midfield, and that's why I'm saying those 3. I don't think Elliott. That's the reason I don't think Elliott starts. He's a bit more free flowing, and he leaves spaces open at the back because he's a young lad. Let's be fair; he's only learning the trade. So. Yeah. Elliott just won't get that space and freedom in the midfield, and we need a nice tight 3 in there to control the game and not let it get away from us, because we know how dangerous Chelsea are. They've world-class players all over the pitch.
Totally agree. In answer to Helen's 2 points there, nobody can afford Mbappe right now, given the current marketplace, and we won't be able to give Karius and Origi away in 7 days, never mind selling. So we'll have a problem with that.
What would Jurgen Klopp do? I got that for Christmas. I don't even know who bought it for me. Someone bought it for Christmas 2 years ago.
Is it any good?
I haven't even read it.
It looks good, though.
It looks good, though. You know, it looks good.
Yeah. So back to Saturday's game. Sadio scores. Rack, any signs of recovery from Sadio?
First half, it wasn't quite working, but the second half, I thought it was okay. Obviously, got the goal, but even outside the goal, I felt he was more involved. The thing is, in the first half, we didn't go down his side very much. It all seemed to be coming down Trent's side, whereas second half, he was more involved. Obviously, got the goal, lovely move. Van Dijk, Elliott, thingy around the corner, and then
Alexander-Arnold.
Sadio. Alexander-Arnold, sorry, my name. I'm forgetting my name today. I don't know what's going on. Alexander, a little clip around the corner. So it was reminiscent of Pogba's touch to Bruno the other day, last week. I didn't catch that. But yeah, Sadio. I thought he did okay. Some people were less high on him. But I thought in the second half he did okay. Got the goal, and he looked more dangerous. And still early doors. I mean, I'm not dropping Sadio anytime soon.
Doug, do you think you have to play players back into form rather than sit them on the bench, let them watch and think about things? Do you think Sadio's a guy that scores in 2 or 3 games in a row and then we suddenly wonder what all the fuss was about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got a pretty good record against Chelsea as well, so I don't see him being dropped or anything like that. I think Firmino, there's a question mark over Firmino and Jota. I mean, I can see Jota keeping his place, in all honesty. He obviously got the goal against Burnley. And it's quite funny that we're actually talking about the goals, and it was really poor marking. I mean, how James Tarkowski at 6'4" gets out jumped by a 5'8" Diogo Jota is
it was the movement,
anything.
Though. The movement.
It wasn't that. It was the actual ball in. It was the ball in that made it.
Brilliant ball.
He didn't even have to really out jump anybody. The ball was perfect. It landed on his head. It was just a flick.
I don't even think he was off the floor when he scores.
That's what I mean. He didn't jump right up into the air. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
He made
I think Mane will be back to his best this season. Hopefully, for sure. Hopefully. And look, you don't give Trent Alexander-Arnold that amount of time and space. I mean, he was almost attacking midfielder where he was. And it's a brilliant finish from Mane. Absolutely brilliant finish. And I think we'll have to give credit to Ali, though. I think Ali had a great game. That save from Ashley Barnes, the right, was it left hand from Ali, just stops it. It was a great save. And I think he had another one from Goodmanson. I think he had another one from him as well. So it was a professional performance, I would call it, from the Reds. Professional.
Well, 2 games, 5 goals, none conceded, 6 points.
Yeah.
That you can't really ask for 6 goals, I suppose, but you can't really ask for much more, can you, than that? It's West Ham have gone top of the league tonight because they've absolutely battered Leicester. Antonio's become West Ham's leading goal scorer in the Premier League with 75 goals.
Seen that.
Yeah. Another underrated player.
Who?
Go on, Dave.
Antonio, underrated player. I don't think he gets the credit. And when he's against the right team, when he's on form, he's a real handful. So I've got a lot of time for Antonio. I think he's a good player, and big up to him for getting that achievement.
Just another thing, Steve, as well. We're talking about Burnley. We hadn't got a good record against them at Anfield. They beat us there. I know we had a weird team against them when they beat us 1-0, but they also stopped their winning run at Anfield last season when we won the league. It was 1-1. Remember, we've had a few weird results at Anfield. Now we've a good record at Turf Moor, but they were a bit of a bogey team at Anfield, so it was nice to get that hoodoo out of the way as well.
We've struggled against their style, to be fair. I know they were a bit robust. And we've all seen the videos at auditions to join the WWE. The one where he picks up Jota and throws him over his shoulder. That's like a suplex. That's insane. But once again, you can't come out of that game and not say Burnley know what they do and they know what they do well. And there were times during the game they made it difficult for us. They will get chances against people because they're a well-drilled team. They don't try things they can't do.
No, they're limited. They're limited. They're limited in what they can do, but they do what they do well. You know what I mean? That's why they stay in the Premier League.
I think we did very well containing Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes to an extent. However, I have to say, I think Ashley Barnes should have been sent off. The challenge on Matip, 2-footed, nowhere near the ball. Mike Dean doesn't even go to VAR, no card given. I was amazed there were no cards given in that game.
Just on that one, Helen, the general consensus of the four of us, 3 are convinced that Tsimikas probably will start, and Rack could make a case for either or, really. So I think by and large, we think Tsimikas might well keep his place. That seems to be the majority decision.
Yeah.
Rack, touching on Ali, we spoke about this before a couple of weeks ago. A player that saw his confidence drain out of him towards the end of last season with a patched up back four in front of him, a couple of mistakes against Manchester City with his distribution. Doesn't appear to have had a hangover at all coming into this season, and looks like the best goalkeeper in the world again, doesn't he?
Yeah, look, apart from the vital saves, just his distribution, his calmness on the ball. There's a couple of times when I know a few fans I'm sure have their hearts in their mouths, but he's cool and calm enough to be the ball playing goalkeeper that he is, and I think there needs to be limits to that kind of thing. But I have ultimate confidence in Ali. He's a great shot stopper. In addition to that, the 2 saves that he's made over the 2 games at close range have both been world class saves in my opinion. And look, everything. People write us off. People have written us off already this season, and I think so. And this is kind of changing the topic slightly. But when you look at I had a Spurs fan tell me that they had a better starting 11 than us the other day, and I'm like, we have one of the top 2 goalkeepers in the world. The only person I think who comes close to him is Oblak, and then it depends on preference, and so that's just a symptom of the quality we have in this team, and Ali personifies that absolutely. So top goalkeeper,
it's very Spursy from them to say that they've got a better 11 than us. Jesus Christ!
I mean, it's mad.
Well, you just look at it. 2 years ago when we romped the league, I know there was COVID involved and stuff like that, romped the league, we got a record amount of points. The year before that, we even got a record amount of points for ourselves, won the European Cup. It's basically the same bloody team. Plus we've added Jota, plus we've added Thiago, Costas, you know what I mean? Taki. We've added all these players and kept the same bloody core.
Exactly.
And we've all our players back, and we've Anfield crowd back. So I don't know why they're right. Let them write us off. I don't mind. That's great. I don't care what they think. I couldn't care less what they think.
I think it suits them to let the fans sleep on us. At the end of the day, right? You're quite right. We've got Ali back, who's back to himself. We've got Van Dijk. I said this on many, many pods, and I'll get your guys' opinion on it in a second. Van Dijk coming back into the team lifts everybody. Oh, yeah. Everybody has got a spring in their stride. Watch him knock that ball out for the first goal from 50 yards away. He's doing it all game, mate. He makes football look very easy. We've got Matip alongside him, who I'm now convinced is the best partner for Van Dijk in the club, because he worries you because he's a last-ditch defender, but he's a very assured last-ditch defender if there's such a thing. That's an oxymoron in itself, that sentence. But
yeah, he's calmness personified, isn't he? Matip,
and he comes out with the ball, the ball, beats 2 men and plays the ball into the front 3. How can we not be growing in confidence from having those guys back, Doug? How can we not be a team that has got the point to prove?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think we've all missed Van Dijk's sort of 50-yard passes out to Elliott the other day, and Tsimikas as well. Look, Van Dijk improves any defence in world football. There's no denying that. But I think Henderson, for me, went under the radar against Burnley. I thought he was very, very good. I thought his passing movement was very good. And I think we've kind of missed his driving runs from midfield. We missed his passing as well. So if we can have a stable back 4, we can have a stable midfield and a stable front 3, then who says we can't go for the title?
It's about injuries. It's about injuries. It's just keeping that spine. It's keep that spine fit. injuries. We've got nice little options. I'm not saying we can rest players, but one or two chopping and changing. It won't destroy the team as much as what it would have gone, last year even. We've got players to come in and fit into the jigsaw. So for me, it's the spine. Alisson, obviously, we need to keep him there. I know we've Kelleher and Adrian there, but Alisson is Alisson. We want Alisson and Wonderland in goal. And Van Dijk, Matip. And we've lovely backups there, Gomez and Kanate. We've even still got Phillips there. Still got Reece Williams there. You know what I mean? And now Costas is doing a job for us for Robbo. He's letting Robbo have a little rest on the sideline as well, and he never gets a rest. And then the front four have all scored. The front four have all got a goal. So they've got that off their back. They've all got a goal, which is super important, especially Mane. I'm expecting a big, big season from Mane. And if we get a big season from Mane, because we're going to get him to Salah anyway, it's just the way it is. And Jota, if he stays fit, and you have Bobby there, I mean, things are looking up, guys. I am super confident. I'm even very confident for Chelsea, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Helen makes a point there. We cannot put so much pressure on Virgil. If he was to get another serious injury, maybe we sell Nat Davis, who would come into the team. Surely not Hendo and Fabs again. Well, Dave's just mentioned 6 centre-halves who are currently fit and available for selection. I think the thing to say, and I'll make this comparison on the number of occasions when the old will Van Dijk be the player he was scenario comes up. Giorgio Chiellini did the same injury at 35 years old.
Yeah.
Do we all remember him doing doggies down the left-hand side after 115 minutes trying to be an overlap? So medical science and sports science has moved on in such a way that the biggest issue for these players to get around is the psychology of the injury rather than the physical nature of the injury. So Van Dijk played against, other than Lukaku, the 2 most robust centre-forwards he will play against all season. They will mix it and stick the foot in and try and be aggressive.
Yeah.
Lukaku's strong, not aggressive, because there's a good compilation going around of when Lukaku played for Man United against Liverpool and Van Dijk dominated him. Now, granted, he's about a stone lighter and he looks in much better shape, having been to Italy and been involved with all the dietitians and what have you. And I watched the game on Sunday and he looks like a proper player. Do we think Virgil van Dijk's sitting at home worrying about Lukaku at the moment? Rax, you would genuinely believe that Van Dijk is worried about that?
No. Yeah, no, of course not. Of course not. I mean, look, like you say, ACL injuries, and if just a point, if anybody doesn't actually know how an ACL is repaired, there are videos out there on YouTube that show how it actually happens, and it's quite a mad little operation they do. They drill through your bone and get tendons and stuff from other parts of your body. It's pretty crazy. But look, it's a common injury these days. A lot of footballers get them, and they come back, and they often tend to come back just as good as before. The thing with Virgil is even if it were to affect his pace, it's not going to affect the other facets of his game. Like his long range passing is not going to be affected. His reading of the ball, his calmness under pressure. People always talk about when you're playing Sunday League football and that kind of thing. They always used to say get the ball up there, and then if you don't win the first ball, get the second ball. The thing with Virgil is he wins the ball in the air, and then his headers just go straight to one of our players. So the opposition, there is no second ball for the opposition to win. Like that's an example of how calm and composed he is in possession, and how he's. I have no doubt that Virgil is going to be just as important and just as good. I don't even necessarily think he's 100% fit yet, but he's probably 85%, and that's good enough for pretty much every attacker in the world.
Yeah, totally agree. What I would say, and I'll get Dave to come in on this in a second, is whereas he wins the balls in the games we've watched him play and they go to our players, so you're right, there is no second ball. Winning the ball will be the key against Lukaku. Where it goes is not really important. That's for the rest of the players to deal with that. I think, if you watch defenders who could deal with Lukaku, the Italians dealt with him quite well in the Euros. You've just got to get a foot in and nick that ball. This is the challenge for me, Dave, with Tsimikas, because they play on the same side as Van Dijk. Do we think Tsimikas is going to be alive and awake enough to react to those things? Because as Rack says, at the moment, Van Dijk wins the balls uncontested. They go straight into the midfield and we start again. Yeah. Lukaku will make him play on the stretch. So if he's not winning the balls cleanly, have we any concerns about Tsimikas' ability to deal with that? Because Robertson's been doing it for 3 years.
No, I don't have any concerns at all. I mean, as Doug, I think, said earlier about Tsimikas being really feisty, I think there was 3 players around him at one stage and he was on the ground, playing it on the ground. He still got up. I mean, he's an international, Greek international as well, so he's not a young lad. You know what I mean? He knows how to play the game. I wouldn't be worried about him. And he has a bit of pace about him as well, actually. He has a bit of pace about him. And he's like a little, we used to call him, he's like a little terrier. Like a little terrier, he's playing 5-a-side, biting at your ankles. So I have no issue with him at all. Now, I'm not saying he's Robertson. I mean, Robertson is probably one of our best players the last 3 years. Will Robertson get back in there? Of course he will. But the question we're asking is, will he get in against Chelsea at the weekend, or is it maybe too early for him? And I just think there's a case for Tsimikas to be there, just for the fact that he hasn't done anything wrong. And there's going to be an international break after this as well. So I mean, Roberts can always come on, can't he? If there's an issue or a problem, he can always come on, even after half an hour. But I think Tsimikas starts.
So would you go, Doug, with the front three that started the first 2 games? Would you leave Bobby on the bench? Because obviously Sadio scored, so his confidence will be up. Mo Salah doesn't need a confidence lift because Mo Salah's Mo Salah, and he'll ask questions and pressurise people. And that would be quite important part of suppressing Reece James for me, who plays on the right-hand side of our attack. And also, would you go with Jota over Bobby?
I would, yeah. I think he'll keep the same front 3. He has done the last 2 games, and Jota scored the last 2 games. So yeah, I can't really see a reason to drop Jota. So yeah, I think it'll be the same front 3.
Yeah, definitely.
Jota's a bit more mobile, isn't he? I'll come to you in a sec, Rack. Jota's maybe a little bit more mobile than Bobby in terms of the runs he makes are a bit more direct. And maybe that's what we need, because the Chelsea back four is a strong back four, but we don't know what they're like with the ball on the floor in front of them, do we? Rack, you were about to say something, buddy?
I'm not quite so sure, just because I can see a situation where Bobby might sit on Jorginho. Because he's obviously the ball player in their midfield. And if Bobby's sitting there, it makes it a lot more difficult for them to progress the ball from the back, because it cuts out the passing lane to him. So I'm not sure. But the thing is, Jota's smart and Jota's a super intelligent player. So I can understand why Jota might also be capable of doing that role, and he's got the engine to pressurise their back 3 when necessary. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's cases for both of them. I know we've seen Bobby do that in the past, where teams have played with like a player like Jorginho, a deep line playmaker, and he sat on them in the past, or at least tried to cut off their passing lanes from the back 3, because that will really disrupt their build up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm not so sure, to be honest. I don't really know.
It's really interesting. It's a really good point, because he's done that particularly well against Rodri when we played against Manchester City.
Rodri, he's against City,
That's a similar role, and I think as good as Diaz was for Manchester City, I think having Rodri in front of them every week for a season gave them the balance. So that's a really good point, and I hadn't considered that. So I think I might go with that. So Dave, coming to the opposition, we need to talk about Chelsea. Obviously, they've got a similar record to us so far this season, 6 points. Same amount of goals above us on alphabeticals. Thoughts on Chelsea? Aside from the obvious threat, which is Lukaku, who else on the Liverpool side, and what else do we have to look out for?
I mean, all over the pitch, really, with Chelsea. They've got some bloody squad, don't they? I mean, them and City you have to say, probably the 2 best squads. United aren't far away with size of squads, but as in, like 20 players plus, they have just too many bloody players, I think. Lukaku obviously is the number 1 danger for me. If you keep him quiet, I think we win the game, to be honest. If he doesn't score, I don't know. Jorginho, I don't know what way they're going to go against us. I don't think they'll be too expansive against us at Anfield. I don't think they'll open up. I think they'll be cautious enough at Anfield. I mean, they don't have a great record at Anfield. I know they beat us 1-0, but we keep going back to the time it was a reserves. It was a reserves, but we had a good record up to that. I mean, everybody remembers the rocket Salah scored in the 2-0. That rocket probably was the best goal of the season. Yeah. So I don't overanalyze opposition, because of the very fact I do always say it's what Liverpool do and what team Liverpool, especially at home at Anfield. It's what Liverpool do. It's what we do. The team we put out. and whatever Klopp says to do is usually enough for us. So, I mean, Chelsea are the top squad, the European champions. They won't be easy to beat, but I'm really confident. I think we'll beat them on Saturday. I really do. I think Lukaku's the most important player for them, and I just keep him quiet, and I think we'll win. I don't really. I mean, there's loads of players all over the pitch. You can name the whole bloody team. They're attackers from all over the place, but I don't know who they're going to play. Will Pulisic play? Probably not. You know what I mean? There's so many players on the bench. So, but I just think Lukaku is probably their little missing gem there. They've got lots got to be relying on.
I don't think Pulisic will be available. I don't think Pulisic. No, apparently he got COVID. He got COVID, I think.
Luck.
So
good luck.
So I think the front three for them will probably be like Mount, Lukaku, and probably one of Ziyech or Havertz or somebody like that. So it's going to be a very interesting game. I just feel though they'll be playing Alonso at left back. Now for me, Alonso's not a left back; he's a left wing back.
Correct.
So if you can get at Alonso, I think Trent will get a lot of joy down their left hand side because Alonso's not the best defensively. Yes, he's good attacking, but he's not the best defensively. And for me, he's a left wing back, not a left back.
Yeah.
So they might go with Chilwell, but then we've had a good. Chilwell has never done very well against Liverpool in the game when we battered Leicester at their place over
the problem with Chilwell, he freezes when he plays Liverpool. Oh, I thought you'd like that.
Dave, let's not look, mate. You knock him out the park, yeah? I've lost my thread now. Where were we before we were subjected to one of Dave's gems? What were we talking about then? Help me, I've lost my thread.
Chilwell?
Players.
Chilwell.
Yeah. So do you think that there's a case for that? Do you think there's a case for them to change it? Do you think Werner might play because he'll want to use his pace in behind in the space that Trent leaves?
It's possible. I went to the Arsenal game yesterday. A mate of mine's got a Arsenal season ticket who's away on holiday, so he asked me if I wanted to go. So I thought I'd go down, do a bit of opposition scouting, and see what Chelsea had to say. I think the interesting thing with their formation is having three up potentially against our four at the back, and how much that restricts us, and then whether they get the overloads out in the wide spaces. So obviously Reece James turned out to be quite damaging yesterday. So we just got to beware and control that. But I think, like you said earlier on, Steve, like the way to stop Chelsea, especially, is to stop them being able to play out. And I don't know. It's an interesting conundrum because we're not going to come up against many teams that play 3-4-3, especially not the way that Chelsea play. And Timo did have a few opportunities against us when he played against us last season in Anfield. He had a couple of one-on-ones with the goalkeeper, but I still think that we can restrict him to minimal chances. And even if he does get a chance, he usually misses. So at least for Chelsea.
Absolutely. And if you are watching, read Rachel's message there. Make sure you smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. And at the end, these guys, wonderful guys, will tell you where you can get them to follow them individually. So it's this part of the show now where we talk about the other fixtures that went on at the weekend, the other games. And I think we'll all enjoy talking about the Southampton game. So I'll come to you, Doug. Obviously, lots been made of the 4-horse race for the champions to be champions. Obviously, we've seen Liverpool win 2. We've seen Chelsea win 2. Manchester City have got 4 points, as have Manchester United now. Did you see the Manchester United game?
City have 3.
City have 3.
They lost the first game.
My apologies, 3. Did you see the Manchester United game at all, Doug? I
did, and I thought they were shocking. I thought they were really, really.
I thought you were going to say they were shite.
Bruno Fernandes is the biggest whinger in the Premier League. Honestly, how he's trying to claim a free kick, like he was brushed off the ball by Stevens. It's a good finish. I like how Harry Maguire decides to take the knee to not defend
mid-game.
Oh, it's so funny. So
Do you know
funny.
what? Do you know what the best thing to come out of that game was? They hammered them 9-0. Was it 9-0 last season?
9-0. Yeah,
And
9-0.
Southampton had a great chance to win that game.
Oh, they did.
And, he should have scored.
I thought Southampton played very, very well.
I couldn't understand the substitution at half time when they 1-0 up and they brought a centre back on. It looked to me like they were trying to protect the 1-0 lead. And then for the next 25 minutes, Manchester United knocked on the door every single time they came forward. And then they kind of run out of ideas, and Southampton and Armstrong had a great chance to win it, didn't he? And all he needed to do was put it in the corner, and they probably win the game 2-1. So looking at United, look, we know they've got quality players. I know they're going to bring Varane in, which will only make them stronger. Let's not, overplay this thing. They are going to be there and thereabouts. It will happen. No one wins or loses the league on the second game of the season.
No.
For me, Guardiola and Klopp and Tuchel are the only three managers in the league that can make a change mid-game to adapt to something that's going on. So to make a tactical change to win a game. Rack, is that going to be Manchester United's Achilles heel yet again? That during the game they're unable to make subtle tactical changes and respond to the things that other teams are doing?
It's a tough one. Look, it's at the very least, it's a question mark against Ollie. I know there's United fans that have pulled out stats saying that I think they've had the most goal scorers from substitution or something like that. But it's not even really about that. It's just it's changes that you can make to the way that your team plays in general. That's going to make this the mark of a really good manager. Because if you do that properly, the goals will come inevitably, or the clean sheets will come inevitably, or whatever you're trying to achieve will come inevitably. And Ollie's got a huge question mark against his name in that respect. Look, I don't think he's the man to return for the glory years to return to Man United. But I will say, in fairness, I think over the course of since he's been at Manchester United, I think he's done okay. Like, I don't think they could have probably achieved more with another manager for sure, but I don't think he's been a failure.
He steadied the ship. He steadied the ship, hasn't he?
He steadied the ship. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to go overboard with criticism, but I think he's a bit shit.
I will say this though: you are not winning a Premier League title with Fred in your midfield. He is one of the worst passers ever. Did you see the pass where I think he had like I think Bruno one side, I think Greenwood another side, and then Martial. What does he do? Plays it straight out of play. No pressure on the ball.
Fred the Red.
Fred the Red.
Oh, look at that.
Fred. I knew he was shy. That's exactly what you're saying.
Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba don't.
Oh my God!
I know you're rivaling Dave there for the anecdotes. I like it. Keep it going.
But I mean, listen, they have a good squad. I mean, they have some bloody squad. I mean, if the likes of Sancho still to come in and Varane. But I think Ole is the key there. I just don't think
Van de Beek is quite tuning into the team sponsor, Team Viewer. He's viewing from the bench.
Team Viewer. Oh God!
You've been thinking these up, dog. I like it. Keep it going.
I love it.
So on to City. Grealish scores his first goal, or rather stumbles onto the ball and it ends up in the back of the net. Normal service resumed for them. If they get Kane, what difference does it make? Sorry, Dave. Come to you, Dave. If they get Kane, what difference does it make?
If City get Kane and he stays fit, I think a lot of teams are in trouble. I really do, because he'll score goals. He's guaranteed 25 plus goals in him. And I think that's what City really miss. I don't think Jesus, I think they're looking for miracles off Jesus. He's just not doing it. And at the end of the day, he didn't get that. But he hasn't really done it.
Did you see he played winger the other day? Jesus.
Well, they're asking for miracles from Jesus. That's the problem. But I mean, like, it's not working for them. They do need a striker. I'd be much happier if they don't get him. Let's put it that way. But it's sort of, look, I don't know. What have you got? A week left tomorrow? Tomorrow week is the close of the deadline day.
Just on that comment there, they have been the most relegated side in Premier League history. They always go down. They always come back up. They always come up and then they go straight back down.
That's those scones Delia Smith makes. Dodgy.
Let's be having you. Where are you?
Let's be having you.
Oh my God. But as you just said with Kane, I mean, Kane is able on his day, but I have a feeling he won't. I have a feeling he won't actually go. I think Daniel Levy will keep him. I think. Who are Spurs going to get in? What are you laughing at?
You need to ask. This is true, Rack. This is true. I think one team's either playing a blinder or one team's having a howler in terms of this transfer thing. Could be a situation where Kane says, "I'm going," and then he goes to Manchester City with like 4 days left in the transfer window, and then they go and buy another load of Eric Lamelas and players like that purely because they don't know what to do with the money.
Yeah,
really precarious position for both. City cannot go through the season without a recognised centre forward. Let's be honest, Jesus is a backup striker of a team who don't even play with a striker. So that's exactly what his manager thinks of him. It's a really strange situation because one of these teams are going to be left with egg on their face, aren't they, from the transfer debacle?
Who's the question to?
I did say Rack at the start. So.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, look, I think things are starting to heat up in the transfer market. Right now, I think I can't see Kane going. And I don't know if I'm speaking more from hope rather than expectation, but there's not long left. It doesn't look like Spurs are necessarily moving for a replacement striker, and without a replacement striker, I don't think they sell Kane. So that's the only thing that I can. That's the only thing I can hope for. In terms of the other clubs, I think we're in the last week. Look, it's now or never. Shaq's obviously gone for us. That frees up a spot and some money in the squad in terms of wages and stuff. I'd like to hope, for his sake as well as for ours, that Origi goes. We'll go with our blessing and our thanks, but I think it's time for him to move on, and then we'll see who we bring in. I'm still hopeful. I've said this for the last 3 weeks, so one of what's the saying? A broken clock, even a broken clock is correct twice a day. So maybe I still think we'll get 2 players in, but maybe I'm speaking out of hope more than expectation.
I watched the pod a few weeks ago, or like 10 days ago, with James Pearce. We all know who James Pearce is, don't we? And his view was that they're only looking to get rid of a few fringe players and won't bring anybody in. Dave, what do you think about
that? I actually did a few videos with Pearce. Actually, he did one about 4 weeks ago, and he said the same thing to me. I still think there might be something up Klopp's sleeve. I know Klopp we all know Klopp likes tight groups. He likes having a squad that he can trust and know. He knows everybody, what they're doing. The problem is you bring someone in this late in the window, with a week to go. There's a possibility of a disruption there. We're a well-oiled machine at the moment. We're doing well. You bring in someone that's just a little bit edgy or just not fitting in, you could disrupt the whole the whole thing. So he doesn't like bringing players in. Okay, you could say Thiago Jota. They were late last season. I think they were taking ages to come in, to be fair. He wanted them in earlier but couldn't get them, especially Thiago. But I just think it depends on Origi. I think if Origi goes this week, Shaq's gone, and if Origi goes, I think the possibility one comes in. But if Origi stays, I think he sticks with what we have, just for the very fact of he doesn't want to disrupt the group.
Yeah, the only thing is I would say that regardless of Origi staying or not, if we can't get rid of him, we can't get rid of him. But I don't think that should necessarily be, and I'm generally quite chilled when it comes to transfers. I don't necessarily think that should be a reason. If we feel like there's a need in the squad, then regardless of whether Origi stays or whether Origi goes, we should still try and fill that need. Because I don't think, regardless, I don't think Origi is the answer. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Doug, who do you bring in to take the Origi role now? Despite the negatives, and we could sit here for a while and talk about the things he should do better. How many professional footballers accept 10 minutes at the end of a game once a month and don't really cause the friction and the lack of harmony that Dave spoke about before, about, you have to trust the group and know that everybody's going in the same direction. It would appear, similarly to Jesus at City, that there's a player in the squad there that's happy to play whatever smaller part Klopp wants him to play without sort of upsetting the flow and rocking the boat. So is that a big plus for Origi in terms of harmony within the club, and how big a part should that play in his future?
Yeah. First of all, I don't know who we're going to bring in to replace him. I think we've got how many days of the window? It's like the 23rd, so we've got another
more a week.
9,
more a week,
10, more over a week, isn't it? So, yeah, as Dave said, I think Klopp does like a tight group, so I don't see anybody coming in. I think it's more about outs, really. Obviously, Woodburn went to Hearts today on a season-long loan. I think it's a very good move for him. I think he'll do well there. Shaq's left, which, his hips do not lie, as they like to say. But Dave's laughing at me.
Have you taken a leaf out of Dave's boy? Yeah.
What?
What's that?
Yeah.
A leaf out of his cheesy one-liners.
Yeah. Cheesy.
Well, you know what I mean. Funny one-liners.
But that's better. That's better.
Answer your question. I honestly don't see anyone coming to replace Origi. I think we're probably stuck with Origi until probably January, and then he's probably free to speak to other clubs.
Is he out of contract next summer?
I don't think so. I think he's got a couple of years.
No, I think it's 2 years. 2 years, isn't he?
Is it 2 years?
2 years. Yeah. The thing about Origi is we should have got rid of him. Go ahead.
There were reports from Germany saying that apparently a couple of teams are looking at him. Mönchengladbach were one of them.
Frankfurt, I think. Was it Frankfurt?
Hertha Berlin was another one, because apparently, what's his face? Matthias Cunha seems to be going to Atletico Madrid. And the other one was Wolfsburg, where I think he only scored 6 goals. And they've got really Wout Weghorst as their only main striker. So you could probably see him. I think the Bundesliga would actually be a good league for him, but we'll see.
I think the best time to Origi stay would have been when 2019 when he scored that second goal in Champions League. Yeah. His stock was quite high. He'd become a Liverpool legend at that stage, and he was even then a bit player. Let's be fair, and it was still the jury was out on him. That was the time to get rid of him, and it didn't happen.
Let's be honest, Dave. Apart from the goal in the Champions League final, his performance was pretty average, and that's being kind to him.
But I'm just saying that's when his stock was the highest, and it hasn't got any higher than that.
So, if anything, he's damaged his own sort of legacy a little bit.
Yeah,
I think he took the goal really, really well. I mean, you always would fire across the goalkeeper anyway, but I just think we're going to be stuck with him. I think again, listening to that video I saw with James Pearce, Nat Phillips seems to be the one that's probably closest to the exit door for anything between 10 and 15 million. Yeah. There's 2 or 3 Premier League clubs that are looking at him. You could see him sitting in the middle of a Brighton back three and doing a really good job, because that would fit in with him quite well. I hope he doesn't go to Burnley, because that's anti-football for me. But at the end of the day, the lad wants to play football, and he wants to play every week. And why not? Last season he was part of a central defensive partnership that took all but 4 points from the last 10 games of the season.
Unbelievable.
He may never reach those heights again. He may never get that momentum in his career again. I think, given all the people we've got available to us, lack of injuries at the moment, he's probably the one we can afford to let go. Yeah, exactly. Because 15 million quid's good money for him.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Dave?
Yeah.
Well, I think we did a podcast the last time I was on. I was saying to you that I would have held on to him till January, for the very fact that we just don't know how the likes of Van Dijk, can he play every week? With that injury, as we just talked earlier, he probably can. But will Klopp play him every week? Kanate has to still fit in. He hasn't actually, started the game in the Premier League for us. We've Gomez there as well, who is injury prone. I mean, Matip, I mean, if Matip doesn't get an injury this side of Christmas, I will be even this side of Halloween. I'll be absolutely amazed, and that is a scary, scary thought. I'm not on about Halloween. I'm on about Matip's injury. So for me, I sort of would keep him around the play. I mean, maybe send Reece Williams out on loan. Something like Ben Davies has gone on loan, isn't he? Sheffield United.
Yeah.
I mean, he eventually got out of that basement. But I mean, like, I don't know. I wouldn't rush into selling him. He did a great job for us. I'm so bloody worried about our back. Because last year, I know it was a one-off, 1 in a million years type of thing. But, you know, I just don't want that ever. I don't ever want to see Fabinho and Henderson playing centre-half again.
Yeah, Dave, how long have you been supporting Liverpool for, Dave?
Since 1892.
Okay.
So that long, you know what I mean? We go since day one. Well, since the mid-80s, you know.
So similar. I was sort of maybe a little bit earlier than you. I'd never seen anything like last season in terms of injuries. In all that time of watching football, never mind Liverpool, football in general, surely these guys are under such supervision medically that they wouldn't be in now if we thought they could break down. Surely the rehabilitation has gone in the way that they would want it to. Surely there's confidence. He didn't need to play him against Norwich, to be honest with you, because with all due respect to Norwich, he could have played Gomez and Konate and protected those two from injury, but he didn't. So he's got the confidence. He's played 180 minutes now, hasn't he? So clearly he's confident.
The other way of looking at it, though, is we've had a week's rest between games. But when he comes back after September from the international break, you're going to have 2 games a week. You're going to have a midweek Champions League game. You know what I mean? You're going to have this, you're going to have that. And it's going to, even the League Cup, it's going to take off from September on, isn't it? It's going to be a lot more intense, a lot more games, colder, winter time. So we'll see how Van Dijk is then and what way Klopp mixes up the group and the team. But I mean, I'd like to see Van Dijk on the pitch all the time. Of course we would. I just don't think you'll see him in every single game because there'll be too many games to play, especially the first few months. Because I mean, you just don't want any sort of recurrence. But they're being looked after by the top boys. The top boys, they're literally. I don't know whether you ever watched in the 70s and 80s the $6 Million Man, where he was plugged into a machine, and that was back in the 80s. So like they're like that, isn't it? It's like that. So fingers crossed. Anyway, fingers crossed.
Double scrutinized. He's probably had a scan in between his 2 games and now just to have a look at what's going on inside the knee. Rack, I'm going to ask you what you thought. Did you watch the Arsenal game at all? And if you did, what were your thoughts on the Arsenal's performance?
Yeah, I was there. I went to the Emirates to watch the game.
Okay.
Yeah, a friend of mine's an Arsenal season ticket holder, so and he's away on holiday, so he asked me if I wanted to pop along. So yeah, when I watched it, I mean, from Arsenal's perspective, they were. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Liverpool when we looked like a shadow of ourselves. That run we went where we lost all those games, where people were taking up some positions. There were some things that were reminiscent of you know our peak, but actually it was very, very hollow. And Arsenal, you had some good moments by Smith Rowe, taking on a few players here and there, and a couple of little moments that they created, but they were utterly toothless. I can't, apart from having a header from a corner from across. They didn't really create anything. Yeah, but the game almost, it just felt like as soon as Chelsea got that first goal, I was sitting amongst the Arsenal fans. That the hope, any hope they had of nicking a point, just seemed to drain out of them. And then obviously when Reece James' second went in, then everyone was like, okay, it's just a matter of time now. They were basically doing damage limitation, and I don't know. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Arsenal. I don't mind them as a club. I think some of the values that they hold here are admirable, but they're in such a mess. Their squad is in a mess. And sorry, I know I'm supposed to be talking about the game, but yeah, that's just my opinion on the background.
Did you think there was a penalty?
Of Arsenal. No, I don't think so. I think it was a bit of a coming together and tangling of legs, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was was a clear-cut penalty. And I think nowadays, if it's not clear-cut, then they're probably not going to give it.
Yeah.
Chelsea, I thought looked okay, again, but similarly, I think they were kind of playing within themselves to some extent. They created a few decent chances. After they got their first, after they got a second goal in the first half, they didn't really create much more after that. But then they had a couple of chances, and obviously Lukaku hit the bar in the second half. They look decent. I want to see, everyone's talking about Lukaku all of a sudden now being great at hold up play.
Yeah.
I want to see more before I start saying, oh yeah, his hold up play is brilliant, because Arsenal didn't really get around him. They didn't stop any of the balls into him. They were they were bystanders, and Chelsea just basically played around them. So I'm not going to give him too much credit, but on that performance, I want to see what he does. I'll be interested to see what he does against us, because I don't think he's going to have that opportunity.
This is to either to you, Doug, or to Dave. Who on earth on Arsenal's board sanctions what will be £30 million on Aaron Ramsdale? Talk to me about that. How on earth does that even happen?
That's just clueless. That absolutely clueless. Aaron Ramsdale, his Premier League record states 75 Premier League appearances, 125 goals conceded. That, like, honestly, like, who is scouting these people? I was amazed they signed him, in all honesty. Absolutely amazed they've signed Aaron Ramsdale. Absolutely shocked that they signed him. And it kind of says, when Granit Xhaka, the one person who tells the fans to F off, gets a new contract and is now club captain yet again. Like, what? The decisions at the boardroom level and the decisions being made by Arteta and his coaching staff, something is going wrong at Arsenal, and they are a shadow of their old selves. I honestly don't see Arteta lasting much longer. I think if they get an absolute tanking by Manchester City the weekend, I think it's bye-bye.
Yeah.
But who's going to come in? Who's going to come in for him?
This is the thing, yeah.
I know that's the other thing, but I just think Arteta is out of his depth there, in all honesty.
Yeah.
I do want to say something that as a point I was saying to a couple of the guys earlier, that I saw some video of people surrounding Arteta's car when he was trying to leave the stadium, and another guy who was shouting at Edu, and while his family are there and stuff. And like, for me, that kind of stuff is just, it's not right. It's completely cowardly, and like, these guys, they may be incompetent, but if they are incompetent, there's not much that, but they are doing their best, and you have to question the people that put them in charge, absolutely. But to start shouting at people when they're kids and when their family members are around, or start surrounding someone's car and stuff like that, that's not acceptable, and it's not right. And I was in a Twitter space the other day where some guy, he sounded like, he's a fully grown man. He was saying that he's been DMing Edu's son, who's like 15 years old, telling him to tell his dad to sign some players. I'm like, what kind of crazy psychopath does that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I don't know whether you seen the young guy on Twitter, did you? Screaming and shouting in his car about Arteta. I know it's probably clickbait. I mean, AFTV are probably going to double their subscription in the next month or two, because the amount of crap they'll be giving out after the game and shouting at the television, and, pre-recorded shouting when the goal goes in. It's true. I mean, Arsenal are a great club. They're a big club, great stadium. We all know the stadium. They have a great history behind them. But at the moment, Arsenal are arse.
Arse dead.
Simple as that. No, arse.
You go back to the goalkeeper situation. The lad at Ajax who got the ban for using drugs, Onana. He's available for £6 million and can start training in December.
You must question the scouts who actually go out and look at these players. How you can go from Onana to Aaron Ramsdale is just beyond me.
For 5 times the price as well.
Yeah,
it's just. I mean, they've 1 or 2 gems there. That guy Saka, of course, and Smith Rose. These are good. These are young lads taking all this, and when you're a young lad like that, learning your trade, let's say, and you're, all that background stuff going on, and probably the fans booing you, to be fair, even at home, even when you're at home, it's not good for those young lads either, is it?
No.
So
before we close, guys, we'll do predictions for the game at the weekend. So we'll start with you, Dave. It's prediction time. Liverpool versus Chelsea.
What would Jurgen Klopp do? I'm going to ask him. Right. What would you do? I'm going to go Liverpool to beat Chelsea by 2-0. Mane in the mirror and Mo Salah, the king of Egypt.
Rack, follow that, mate. Who are you going for? What's the score?
I don't think I can follow that, apart from say that I agree. 2-0. I keep expecting Virgil to score. In the year we won the league, we scored a lot of goals from set pieces, so I expect a set piece goal. They're going to start coming soon. So yeah, Virgil and Mo to score.
Doug?
I am going to go one better, 3-0. I think we can get at I think we can get at this Chelsea side. I really do. I don't think they're any specially in defence. Reece James may be a very good right back, but they can be got at. I think Rudiger can be got at, and I think whoever plays alongside him, Christensen, he hasn't had the best of times against Liverpool. Was sent off, of course. I just feel with the crowd behind us, I think it'll be a good time to play Chelsea. And yeah, I'm going 3-0. I'm gonna go Salah double, and I'm gonna go Jota.
Okay, I like it. I love the positivity. I'm going to share the opinion of the other two boys 2-0. I think it's an opportunity to make a statement. It's an opportunity to show the fans that the 6 defeats at Anfield were an aberration, that we're not going to go there again. So I'm going to go with the 2-0 score. I think Mo will score, and I think Keita might get one. So that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Nabby lad.
Right. So for the next show, I'm going to see a little bit different, and I'm going to nominate Doug for the next show to come to the next show with his all-time favourite Liverpool 11, including a manager, including a formation, and with you at the next show, Doug. So you've got a week to get your head around it, mate.
You'll need a week. You'll need a week.
Obviously, I'm a little bit younger, so.
Listen, you're right or wrong. I would put Graham Souness in mine, right? But you don't have to because you never saw him play. So it's up to you to from your lifetime, from what you saw.
Yeah, exactly.
You put the Liverpool side together. Who would you put in there?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'll get on to task and do that.
Dave to do the same next time. Dave
I'll get on task to do that. Yeah, no problem.
Right, just before we go, first 11 is expanding. And then we're going to run some sub-channels off the main one. So, with that in mind, I've been asked to look after a Liverpool sub-channel called the Spy on Cop 11, because that's the proper name for the cop. That goes live tomorrow as a YouTube channel. It will have its own Twitter account, which is already live with a number of followers on it. So look out for some content for that. We'll talk to Doug and to Dave about doing stuff on that too. We've got to have a little conversation with Rack because we've got an idea for Rack to have his own show, which would be really cool. Zane Talk Sports is coming over to do one weekly show, which is really good. And Ian, who used to be with me on Football Focus and Anfield Echo, he's coming across as well. So really good opportunity to grow it. I've been thinking about the YouTube growth, and I'm going to say this. If we get to 1,000 subscribers, the money that comes out of the monetary videos will go to a charity of Liverpool Football Club that's close to their heart. I don't want to do it for the money. For me, if we get to 1,000 subscribers and we can monetize the videos, then we can use the money to go to a worthy charity. So when we're doing the push, the race to 1,000 subscribers, everyone who's watching, I appreciate your help on retweeting and pushing for that. We've all got channels, with the exception of Rack. We've all had channels. We know the growth thing's hard to do, but it takes the community pushing to get people to join in and subscribe. So we'll cover that. But keep your eye on it. It will be tweeted tomorrow out what it is. So if you could just RT it for me, guys, and get some of your followers involved, it'd be really cool.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
All right, so Dave, where can we get you? What have you got coming up? What can we come and have a look at?
At Dave's LSC Chats, Twitter, Instagram, obviously on YouTube as well. Just you. I mean, Doug does be on my show quite a lot. Jack Mac LFC, meet my co-host Keith. I do have loads of people on. Basically, a load of build-up shows for Chelsea. The big, huge one on Tuesday. That's the main thing for me. That's it. As I say, I'm confident we're going to win that game by 2 goals. 2-0.
Doug, where can we get you? What have you got coming up?
Thursday. Thursday's the big one. 4:50. I'm doing a live stream to the Champions League group stage draw.
Woo!
So if anyone wants to tune into that, then feel free. See our reactions, who we actually get in our Champions League groups. You can find me on the Dugout Football channel. You can find me on Instagram at Douglas.Horn. Twitter's Enroad_1992, and Facebook is Douglas James Horn. But yeah, Thursday, big one, Champions League group stage draw. Who do we get?
Woo! That'll be cool. Rack, where can we get you, pal?
At Raxing1 on Twitter. You find me on Twitter Spaces, talking football with some of the guys and tweeting about football.
For fuck's sake, him again. This same guy last week. Same fucker last week.
I'm going to be on the Liverpool Chelsea preview on the Football Terrace on Friday, which should be fun. That's going to be in live studio. And yeah, here obviously, and the Spine Cup first 11. So we'll catch me in a couple of
Busy, baby.
Yeah.
So, obviously I'm on here. I'll be looking after the Spinal Cop, and also on a Friday night, I'm on Usman Talks United on a Friday rival show. It isn't about Manchester United. I have the top 6 clubs there. It's good banter. So I don't go and talk Man United on Man United shows. It's a bit more than that. It's good fun as well. Some good guests on there. But we'll be back next week with a guest. Thanks very much for coming on, Dave. Thanks to Mac and Doug as usual, and thanks to the comments field, which again was lively. And take care, guys, and hopefully next time we talk on the Grounded Football, we're celebrating 3 goals against Chelsea.
Stay safe, guys.